Child. The way I thought my mic was on. Anyway, hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And if you may have noticed, yes, the hair, I took it down. I already said I was going to do that, so don't be surprised. But I actually have 2 runs I'm going to be doing fairly soon. One in a little bit, and then I actually have a race I'm doing later on today. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a back-to-back. Haven't done that in a while. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, but welcome. This is another Get Fit With Me series, motivation, accountability series. And I actually had an idea that came up thanks to a fellow YouTuber. If you know, you know. I'm shouting you out again. So I had the idea of, and I already was going to do it, but I was going to do it not quite that distance that was suggested. I'm going to do a different distance because I'm actually doing, I think I've mentioned before on this channel, I deferred my 50K. I was supposed to do a 50K this year, and I deferred it. Mainly because I didn't think my foot was fully recovered yet, and mentally I wasn't there to do it. I just wasn't motivated mentally. And for distances that are past a half marathon, that's when it becomes a sport along with being a physical sport. It's a little bit of both. A lot of this. So if this ain't together, just save it for another day. So that brings up a couple things. So the idea was to basically highlight my prepping for that. So I'm not going to highlight prepping for the marathon, but I am going to highlight prepping for a 50K next year. So that is something that's going to be up in the pipeline next year. But that stemmed another idea for this video. So in this video today, I actually kind of wanted to go over something that we talk about as runners a lot, but people outside of it don't really understand it all the way, or people who maybe are not really as athletic or hasn't really channeled their athletic side in a very long time, don't really think about as much, but adapting with age and basically being resilient. I also got motivated to do this video because I'm actually in a leadership course with work. My company's paying for me to do this basically Harvard Business School course. And so that was one of the things that was literally in the class session that I was reading yesterday about being resilient. And as an athlete in general, whether you are whatever type of sport you do, that's very, very important. Now, but I think a lot of athletes think from like being resilient within that moment or being resilient within a certain small time frame. But with sports, especially for someone like myself or others who want to continue their sport throughout their whole lifetime, for me running, I want to do running throughout my whole entire lifetime. Being resilient and being able to continue doing that is super important. And one of the adjustments you need to make is to train based off your age. And I also got motivated to do this video because when I watched the Chicago Marathon, I saw Des Lennon just kill it and destroy the American Masters record on the course. And she actually, I think she even has something where she talks about that, where you make adjustments based upon your age. Like, it's very obvious I'm not in my 20s, right? So I can't train like I'm 21 when I'm almost, multiply that by 2. It doesn't make sense. And so you have to make adjustments. And also too, I'm also not Des Lennon or, Gaitlin Rupp or, Stefan Hassan. I was trying to think of someone who was not American. As a distance athlete. I'm not any of those people. I don't get paid to run. That's not my whole entire life. And most runners that's not their whole entire life, but it's a huge part of people who are runners' life. Like, it's kind of a huge part of my identity. Like, not so quiet as it's kept. It's pretty clear that that's a very important part of my life, right? Even most of my friends are runners, you know, so it's kind of a thing. It is a thing. But it is not spoken about nearly enough, the idea of adjusting with age. So I also want to mention, when I do take you through this journey of me prepping and training next year, I am going to kind of tell you what I did in my 20s, what I did in my 30s, and what I'm doing today. And they're not going to be the same. I'll just be fully transparent. It's not going to be the same. In my 20s, I was an overtrainer. And it was not good. It was actually I'm actually one of the lucky ones who did not get horribly injured from overtraining. And that is such a common thing to do, especially if you're new to running and you fall in love with it. Like, because for me, I became a runner, not trying to become a runner. It was actually kind of by accident a little bit. So along with just kind of like making adjustments as far as like the running is concerned for my training, I also want to mention I'll go ahead and mention this right now. In my 20s, I ran 5 would be a minimal. I would run 6 times a week in my 20s. And I wasn't just running. I was a habitual overtrainer. And you could get away with that in your 20s, but also too, mind you, in my 20s, I worked at a gym. So I literally had the resources right there. And so I was able to stay in shape for most of my 20s or late 20s when I was, you know, training. It was easy because I was working at a gym and I was training other people. I wasn't really training other people to be runners. I was training other people to just, you know, have a healthy lifestyle and all that good stuff. But I myself was overtraining like crazy. Looking back, that worked because I was in my 20s, but also probably could have not worked, depending on how strong your body and whatnot is. And so I say all that because another reason why I want to kind of do a video like this and wanted to say something about, you know, working and making adjustments and being resilient with your age, is because your body literally physically changes with age, no matter how hard you work out. Especially, and I'm speaking for me as a woman, my body has physically changed multiple times since, you know, my 20s. For example, and it was almost like clockwork for me. When I was 30, like right when I almost hit 30, my hip muscles, like not muscles, but like the bones of my hips widened. Like it just did it on its own. I had nothing to do with it. It just did it on its own. So when I was back down to the goal weight that I wanted to be at in like 2019, I knew I physically could only get to a certain level. Like I probably could have gotten a little bit smaller there, but probably not really, because my bone structures within like my hips got wider. So no matter what I was going to do there, I was not going to get any smaller because my bones in my hips literally moved where I physically can't. There's nothing I can change with that. And that's things that are not discussed when you are trying to do a lifelong sport. And running is one of those lifelong sports. Just like, I mean, my dad, he's a cyclist. That's his lifelong sport. He also plays tennis. Lifelong. People in their lives have things that they enjoy doing. And you have to make adjustments with age. Just like, this is a good analogy. Michael Jordan, for example. His first run when he got the rings, I think 2 rings, He was younger, so he could just go off of youth. If you watch him play in his later on in his career, when he got the last 2 rings of the 6, he made adjustments. He wasn't playing the same way, because the older you get, the more you have to adjust, and you have to basically be resilient. And it's the same thing with running and all other sports, and same thing with and not even just with running. And let's get the sports out of the way too. I would even say, for just being active in general, you have to make adjustments with work on you based off your age. You also, for nutrition, you have to make adjustments. Things that I pretty much did always eat healthy since I became a runner. I've never not eat healthy, but I will say in my 20s, my diet was pretty high protein diet. I did eat a lot more meat in my 20s. Today, I do not eat as much meat because I know my body doesn't even absorb it that way, the way it used to. It doesn't even like it. I feel very when I do that. So I pretty much and I have lately went back to eating some meat here and there, but I really only did that because I wanted to bulk up a little bit muscular wise. Because that's another thing. You have to make adjustments based off of what you're doing at the moment. So another thing that's not spoken about, and I'll share this little tidbit, and then I think I'm going to get off of here for now. So you have a couple of pointers of like how to kind of do this thing, but maybe adjust it to make it work for you, if you will. But one of the things I will say that I also did and have done in the past a lot is I make adjustments on my diet based upon if I'm marathon training versus I'm not marathon training. This time around, because I just haven't been running as much in general, has been a little bit more on the difficult side. So I knew I was going to be gaining weight. I wasn't really surprised. But you have to be okay with that, because when you make adjustments to your diet or routine, it's common sense. You have to be like, you know what, your body is going to catch up, and then you have to work with that. And that's okay. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So that's why, even though I know I've gained the weight, I'm not really horribly discouraged about it, because I know I'll get it down. I know I will get it down. It's just, how will I get it down? And how quickly am I willing to get it down? Because I have goals for next year, but I also need the extra weight to build muscle. That's the other thing. So with age definitely comes wisdom, and also getting to know your body more. And for me, I know I have quite a few long distance races I'm planning on doing next year. And anything that's more than a half marathon, you're breaking your body down. That is a beat down. You're literally just doing to your body. I'm not going to hold you. That's literally what you're doing. You're beating down your body. You are. And I'm very aware of that, but I still want to do it. That sounds crazy, but I'm still going to do it, right? So, but that's because I just love the sport of distance running. I love just being out there and being lost. The idea of someone saying get lost, I'm like, okay. I'm kind of okay with that. I'm kind of okay with just being out there and just running for hours and hours and hours. That doesn't bother me. But what I will say though is, if you are going to be doing all those distances, and I'm speaking from experience because I've done a lot of them, I'm trying to do a marathon in all 50 states, and I've ran 3 50Ks and 2 50-milers, and I've done more, and so far I've done 11 states, but I've ran more marathons than that, because I've done a lot of repeats. I've done Chicago Marathon 3 times, and that's what makes it tricky about the 50 states thing, because if you really like a marathon, you want to do it again, but you should actually be doing probably another marathon, another state to get that state. Anyway, I veer off course. The point is, because I know I'm going to be putting my body through this kind of the stress I'm putting it through, the times when you're not doing that, that's the time where you really need to build muscle and rest and run, but do like short distance runs to kind of keep your body moving and help with, so you don't lose stamina, because shorter distances is more stamina focused, and then the longer distance is going to be definitely more endurance. So for me, because I'm not a professional athlete, a 5K to like a half marathon, not even quite a half marathon, I'll say 5K and 10K, to me those are stamina distances. Those are distances to keep your stamina up, to keep your energy up. And then when you go past the 10K is when you're starting to like say hi to endurance. And then you're going to the endurance after. Like you're basically leaning towards endurance and you're staying there after that. But with the stamina cardio, you also need muscle. And you really need the muscle even for like the endurance side. But the thing is, when you're running as much as you are for endurance, your muscles are breaking down and they're becoming leaner and leaner. So during that time when I'm not doing that, what I do for myself is I try to bulk up my muscles so that they can handle all that. Because if you have muscle tissue and things like that that's protecting you, that's less likely you're going to get injured. It's less likely it's more likely your body will be able to take it. That's when you could be like, shut up brain, take it body. Like that's when you could like really say that and really mean that. Otherwise, and then other cross training like cycling and whatnot, so that is some of the things that I have done in the past. Now I've done extreme versions of it a couple times. I definitely have let up a lot with the older I've gotten and the more busier I've gotten in life. So as we progress and when I get into training next year, I'll definitely share more of how I'm doing and what I'm doing leading up to these races. But I'll actually do a comparison what I did in my 20s, what I did in my 30s, what I'm doing today. Because next year, for those who don't know, I'm leaving 30s. I won't be there anymore. I'll be like, adios. But the face doesn't look like that because face card doesn't decline. So there's that. But anyway, that pretty much concludes the video. Hopefully this little small chat that I had with you is motivational. Hopefully it'll help you just with life, because also, like I said, the adjustments doesn't just pertain to, and being resilient doesn't just pertain to just running. It pertains to your diet, it pertains to exercise, it pertains to everyday life. You just gotta be able to be resilient and bounce back. And hopefully this was a message that you will love and receive. Anyway, and yeah, I have this because you already know my allergies don't ever love me. They're always mad at me. But I guess I'll have to move to the desert in order for my allergies to not exist. And we know that's not going to happen anytime soon because I got to be close to my parents. So there's that. Anyway, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye.